Hi folks and welcome back. I'd like to share with you my experience of playing the Legacy of the Forge DLC for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So if you haven't already picked it up, you can maybe decide whether it's worth buying or waiting for a sale. More importantly, you'll know what to expect from it, because I went into this with some expectations that weren't met, and that might be down to failures on my part for not looking into it properly. But when someone sells me an expansion that says, hey, you can build your own forge and run your own business, well, I kind of got expectations from that selling point that weren't actually realised, or at least not in the way I thought they would be through playing the game. There's actually three aspects to what I'm going to talk about. There's the additional story content and questing that you'll do. There's the actual building of your forge and home and development of that. And there's all the extra activities that you will experience that have been added in with this DLC. So first up, the story. You are going to get to see Henry's astronomical cock. Henry's astronomical clock. Yeah, that sounds better. The clock in the town of Kuttenberg is a special one. I've actually seen one of these in Prague when I visited. The one there is absolutely amazing and spectacular, built hundreds of years ago. Well worth a look if you are in the city. The story goes that this one stopped working many years ago, and it was Henry's old dad was actually part of the team of blacksmiths who was contracted to fix this. It didn't go according to plan at all, and it was never actually fixed. So it's actually going to be down to Henry to fulfill his father's legacy, get this thing working again. The story about why it wasn't ever actually fixed and what went wrong, you'll discover as you play through the quests in this DLC. You'll meet a few interesting characters as part of this from opposite ends of the spectrum you'd expect, and you'll have to try and get them to work together. Honestly, the questing and story behind this, it didn't really excite me. It didn't really do it for me. It might for you, but for me it was okay. There's also some backstory here about Henry's dad and why he left the place and what happened and why it happened. So if you do like backstory and lore, then there's some stuff in there that might interest you. Oh, there was one quest, though, that deserves special mention. There was a riddle quest. Now, I love riddles in games, and there have been some in Kingdom Come 2 and in 1 as well, and I really enjoy them. However, this one is complete and utter nonsense. You're given a riddle to try and solve, to try and track down where somebody went, and there are bits of it that make some sense, and there are other bits which don't add up to anything at all and will lead you off on the wrong path, and it's just utter nonsense, and you solve the quest easier by ignoring the riddle. At least that was my experience and the experience of my viewers as well. And it is hilarious reading on the forums some of the real fanboys trying to justify how this is actually right and working. Because to me, it was a load of rubbish. That one deserves special mention, but the other quests aren't anything like that and are much more straightforward. Now, the development of this old forge, it actually belonged to another master blacksmith who Henry's father, or Henry's dad I should say, trained under as an apprentice. You get to take it over. It's near the inn in Kuttenberg with the sign of the bum playing the trumpet, one of the greatest tavern signs I've ever seen in any video game. And after you've cleaned it up, because it is just gone to rack and ruin, you can actually settle down in it, use it as a base, you get a fast travel point there, and eventually you'll build it up, you'll be crafting weapons there, and it functions kind of like a room at an inn. You've got your own bedroom, which you can decorate, you've got access to a stash, and it's pretty good for just hanging out as your home in the city. Now, this place is going to become a bit of a money sink. You know, all that money you've earned playing the game, robbing people, selling stolen goods. Well, this is where you're going to spend it, in similar fashion from the Ashes DLC in Kingdom Come 1. As you do activities and increase your prestige within the Blacksmith Guild, you're going to unlock new decorations for both the outside of the forge and shop and the inside as you develop the bedroom. And I've got to say, once you get everything unlocked, there are some spectacular looking effects and pieces of furniture, especially for the bedroom. I loved the chest, the ornate chest that becomes your stash. I think that looked absolutely gorgeous when we got the maximum one unlocked. Functionally, it's not that different from just spending a night in the inn. You've got a stash and a bed. But if you want something to call home, well, this is it. You can also hang decorations on the wall, i.e. armour, weapons, things you've either made, things you've stolen, bought, achieved through conquest, whatever, goes on the wall. Watch out. I don't know if this bug has been fixed, though, because if you're playing the Monastery expansion or if you bought that DLC, it brought in a bug where it gobbles up and removes the items on the wall in your home. That will get patched out if it hasn't been already, but just be aware of that before you put that wonderful custom painted shield that you're in love with on there. Anyway, as mentioned, to unlock all the decorations for this forge and home, you need to earn prestige within the Blacksmith Guild. So how are you going to do that? Well, there's a load of activities that the developers have put in. And it's not all that you might think. Now, obviously, there's going to be some blacksmithing if you want to do it. These activities and quests are mostly daily repeatables, and there's a daily repeatable smithing quest where a customer will turn up and ask for a bespoke-made piece of weaponry or horseshoes. They can just ask for horseshoes as well. They'll turn up at the shop, they'll say, hey, can you make me one of these? It's often some ridiculous story behind it, like it's for my husband who's boasting with his neighbour and wants a bigger sword. Anyway, you'll make the thing, and then, if you're not quick on making it, you'll have to run around town and deliver it to them as well. That part for me was a bit of a nuisance, especially if you have to ride out of town to go and deliver the damn thing. Would have been awesome if you could have had a member of staff, say, take it out and deliver it, or if the customer had come back to collect it at the end of the day or the next day. Anyway, if you like blacksmithing, you can just do that day after day. You get paid something. It's not always necessarily the value of the item that you've made, but you're earning prestige whilst doing this. Personally, and as I've mentioned before, I'm not a huge fan of the smithing process or the crafting process in general in this. It's great for doing it a few times, but repeating it day after day, pretty much going through the same technique, and I didn't find that entertaining. But luckily, you don't have to do an awful lot of this if you don't want to, because there's lots of other ways of earning prestige. And these are also through daily repeatable quests that show up on your map every day. There'll be a random selection of go and fight a duel with one of the other blacksmith's apprentices or someone, play some dice, get into an archery contest. Now, that particular one I really enjoyed. Or perhaps go and do a mission for one of the blacksmiths where a load of supplies have been stolen and you have to go and beat the crap out of the bandits. I liked that one too. Extra combat is always welcome because I really enjoy that in Kingdom Come. What I did like about this system is that there's any particular activities you don't enjoy or don't want to do, you don't have to do them. And if you don't get these quests done by the end of the day, there's no penalty and no problem with that. It's just that you then don't get the prestige that day, but you can do something else the next. And you can basically level this up at your own pace, just as you want or don't want, as the feeling takes you. So those are basically the extra activities that are introduced in this, and I've got to say, I quite like them, especially the fact that you don't have to do anything if you don't want. How the Forge works, though, that's another matter, and a lot of it was not how I expected. So, as you unlock new features through Prestige, you buy them from the book, which is quite good. It works a bit like the From the Ashes DLC. You open a book, choose the improvement, pay the money, and bang, it's there. You can recruit 2 members of staff, as well, you get the old woman that lived there all along. She is like a permanent feature. But 2 guys you can have that actually do stuff for you. And, well, do they do stuff? Yeah, that's debatable. They don't work like members of staff. They're more like other people that live there that are your members of staff, but don't really do what they're told to do. So not really members of staff. That one's kind of weird. You can buy and sell things to them, and you can bring them patterns and they will make you stuff. But you don't actually set them to work in your business and they don't earn any money for you, which would have been cool. I thought it might have worked like the From the Ashes DLC, where as you're building the village in that one, you recruit someone to work in each building that's better than the base level, generate some passive income. No, that doesn't happen here at all. I have one major issue with the forging of things itself, is that there isn't a materials chest in the forge. You have your stash upstairs, which works as your general stash in the game. It's connected to all the stashes in the inns. But what it really, really needs is either a chest downstairs just that you can put shit in, or a crafting chest where you could put crafting materials in. And as you're trying to forge items, it automatically drew the items from that chest rather than you constantly having to worry about having the right sword fittings and everything in your inventory. It would just be a nice little quality of life thing. Survival games have managed this for years and made the crafting process in those really simple and easy and pleasurable to play. In here, it's a case of run upstairs to your chest, get all the equipment that you think you need, run back down, go to make the sword, realise you didn't pick the right sodding pommel, run back up to the chest and get that, and repeat. It would have made life so much easier if there was just at least a chest full of shit next to the forge. It would have been perfect. Materials chest. Come on, that could be and should be a thing in a crafting expansion like this. But that's maybe just me being lazy. The thing that really didn't work like I expected, and the thing that was the biggest letdown for me, was the sales chest. You have a sales chest that works like a shop. Whatever you put in this chest is then, in theory, offered for sale. And I thought that this would simplify the selling of loot and anything that I crafted, if I wanted to craft things. I figured all the stuff that I'd piled up and put in my stash because I hadn't had time to take it to the merchants, or the merchants didn't have enough gold to buy it off me in one go, I'd put in this, and it would be eventually sold, and I would rake in the money, and it would recoup some of the costs of building this forge in the first place. But no. The way it works is it seems to have a chance of selling maybe one item per day. It doesn't matter how much stuff you put in, and it doesn't seem to matter the quality of the stuff you put in, or whether it's clean and repaired and bloodstained or not. There seems to be a chance that you will sell something, and when you have low prestige, it seems that you don't get very much money. And you go and talk to old Doris, who's living in this place, every morning, and she'll tell you if she's managed to sell something in the previous day. She'll tell you if she managed to sell one thing. I experimented around for a bit, and I could not find anything which really made a difference to how much you sold, how frequently you sold, the value of things that you got for it, other than maybe you got more value as your prestige in the guild went up. But it certainly doesn't replace the need to go and sell all the crap you have at merchants. It really doesn't. You can craft faster than you can sell things out of the shop. Now, you might be wondering, well, how did you expect it to work, Mark? They've added this new thing to the game. Surely you shouldn't have had any expectations. Well, yes, I do, because let's look back to how selling things to merchants worked in Kingdom Come 1 and how the From the Ashes DLC worked. I've already mentioned that. In that DLC, when you were building up the village of Pribyslavitz, or whatever it was called, you could have a shop open, any type of shop, the butcher shop, the tavern, etc. You could put qualified staff in there, and it would make you a passive sort of income. I thought maybe it worked something like that. But no, that system which was in place could have been used in a similar manner here. That's not in Kingdom Come 2 at all. So let's rule that one out, unfortunately. But the system with selling to merchants in Kingdom Come 1 would have been perfect here. The way it worked in that game is you sold all your items, stolen, looted, whatever, to any merchant in the game. At the end of the game week, that merchant, who'd have all these items in their shop chest, would empty that chest, and that merchant would gain the value of the gold of those items in the chest. The chest would then go back to their basic level of stock that they would normally have in their shop, but they would have the extra gold that they'd earned from selling all the stuff you'd sold them, by selling it on for a profit, and then they could buy more stuff from you. So we have a system that Warhorse Studios has used to empty chests full of goods to replace with an equivalent amount of gold. Now, we could use that system in Kingdom Come 2. Perhaps there could be a limit on how many items got sold, or you only got a certain percentage of the items that were sold in 1 week, according to your prestige rank. There's lots of limitations and filters and things we could apply to that. But any of those options would have been massively preferable to the selling one random item per day for shit all value, to me. So it didn't solve the problem in any way, shape or form of selling things to merchants and gaining money in that. It just doesn't replace that. It's much easier for me to take a horse full of stuff and go around all the armor smiths and blacksmiths and weaponsmiths in Kuttenberg and sell everything manually like that than to try and rely on the chest in my base in a DLC that I've paid more money for to do. So anyway, just to sum up, in conclusion, the parts of this DLC I hoped would be brilliant weren't, and the parts I weren't expecting to be good actually pretty much were. So the story and the storage chest and the staff around the forge, I wasn't impressed by those. However, the activities that you do to gain prestige, the archery contests, the duels, the going off killing bandits, I did enjoy all of those. It was kind of nice to have a home and a base in Kuttenberg other than just the inn, although I do like the inn system in the game. I've got to say it's nice and feels on period with it. And it was kind of nice to have a home right at the end of a fast travel point where you just go there and go straight into your home that you've decorated and you've worked hard for. So overall, I think the DLC is probably worth it, especially so if you pick it up on a sale at some point. But for the extra content that you get, it's probably worth it, but perhaps not for the reasons that you might expect going into it. Anyway, those were my experiences of Legacy of the Forge. Let me know your experiences if you played it, if you think of it differently, or if you found any interesting workarounds for things. Again, if you want to watch my playthrough, there's a link in the description down below. Go and check that out. And do stay tuned for more, as we'll be playing through the new Monastery DLC that's recently been released as well. So if you want to see my thoughts on that one, make sure you hit the subscribe button, stay around, And of course, we'll see you again on the next one.